Hello, have you? Well, you've probably heard of the present perfect and also the past perfect, but have you ever learned how to use the future perfect? And no, it does not mean the future is perfect. Maybe it will be great, but not perfect. But today we are going to learn the grammar tense, how to use the future perfect. This is a really useful tense. And without further delay, let's get started, okay? There's a nice picture of my puppy. She's so cute. Okay, so in our last two classes, we did the past perfect. We're moving on in our series now for the future perfect. We're going to start with some review and warm up about what's been going on before. I'm going to have you guess the past participles of some irregular verbs, and we're going to compare the perfect structures and look at the future perfect structure. Okay, so we'll do the first four things on our list today and save the rest for the next class next week. Remember, that's every Thursday at 2 o'clock Central. So let's begin. First of all, what is the difference between the present and past perfect? Okay, and I'm not talking just about structure. I mean, when do you use them? I asked my student, I just had a student an hour ago, and I asked her this question. The question being, what is past perfect? When do you use past perfect? So let's review that. Past perfect, right? It's used when you have two different things, right, that happen in the past, that happened, right? We arrived at the cinema before the movie had started. Okay, so the movie started, but we arrived before that. Okay, or we had eaten a lot of ice cream by the time our mom came to pick us up from the park. Something like that, okay? And so we use past perfect when the first action, for the earliest action that happened, and then past simple for the second action, okay? That's past perfect. Present perfect, you probably know more about this, right? Present perfect is when something happened in the past and maybe it's still happening today. It has a relationship with the present, okay? And for things like experiences. Have you ever been to Russia? Nope, I haven't. Nope is one way to say no. Very slang. Nope. N-O-P-E. Nope. Okay. And also multiple things that happened in the past. For example, he has written two books and scripted two movies. All right, he's already done that from the time of talking. Also changes over time. Wow. Ever since I got married, I have become much fatter. I have gained some weight. Okay, so those are some of the differences about when we use those two. Let's move on though to the future perfect tense. Do you actually know what the future perfect tense is? If you don't, that's fantastic because that's why you're here, right? But think about what it might be like. I'm going to give you a tip. The future perfect tense is almost the same as the past perfect tense. It just happens in the future instead of the past. Okay? So let's look at first, before we get into more details with this, it's important for you to know the past participles. So let's do a little quiz. Are you ready? I want you typing in the chat. We have our verb infinitive. So if you are watching this right now, we have the verb forget. What is the past simple of forget? Can you write it in the chat? Let's test your knowledge, okay? Forget. I'm going to give 5 seconds. 5, 4. If you're not watching this live, okay, that's totally fine. I still want you to take a guess, or hopefully you already know. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, what is it? 2, 1. Yeah, that's right. Forgot. Okay, now the past participle, which is what we always use in the present or in the perfect tenses, okay? We also know it as, by the way, you see AKA, verb 3 here. That means that we are, AKA means also known as. Let me type that out. Also known as. And we often use this not just in text, but also speaking. We'll just say, yeah, AKA verb 3, right? So verb 3 for forgot is forgotten, okay? Forgotten. Now, that's how you would learn it in school. I'm sure, hopefully my sound is okay for you, okay? Forgotten, but the real way that native speakers would often pronounce this is saying forgotten, forgotten, where they stop the air of that T way back in the mouth there and say forgotten, forgotten. Okay, that's called a glottal stop T sound, okay? But you can say forgotten, and that's totally, totally fine. However, you will hear native speakers, including me, say forgotten all the time. All right, next one is drive. Drive, drive, drive. So what's the past tense of drive? The past tense is 5, 4. Do you know it? 3, 2, 1. Da, 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 da. Drove. All right. And the past participle, drive, drove, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Driven. Okay, driven. Drive, drove, driven. Pay attention to that pronunciation. It's not driven, it's driven. Sound that most likely doesn't exist in your language. Okay, next we have feel. Feel. Okay, I feel something strange on my skin. Feel. Past simple for feel is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What is it? You know it. Felt. Okay, felt. Be careful of the pronunciation. Okay, let's keep going with the past participle. Okay, what's the past participle? Felt. Same. Easy. So it's great when some are like this that have the same as another past simple, but very commonly they don't. Okay. Now, I should let you know if you want more practice with this, with past participle, with your future perfect, you can go right in the description below and download a really useful worksheet that'll help you with this, and lots of quizzes and stuff to give you extra practice. So definitely go check the link right at the top of the description to download that. That will help. All right, let's continue with our next one. Okay, we have read, read. Now you probably do recognize this one as a past tense because it's kind of strange. It's written the same, but spelled the same, written the same, but pronounced different. Pronounced as read. Okay, and some might say, oh, but how do you know whether to say read or read? Well, the context, right? I read every day. Yesterday, I read a book, right? And the past participle of read, also red, or the past participle of read is red. Read, 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 okay? So be careful with that. Next one, okay? What is it? Think. Oh, this is a hard one. Well, maybe it is. The pronunciation is hard, but it's also hard, okay? So let's see. What is the past simple of think? Do you know it? If you know it, see if you can type it out in the chat. If you get it wrong, if you get it wrong, it's 5. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. If you get it wrong, it's okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, can you read that word there? Maybe you didn't know that, but can you read that? Just try and say it aloud. No, it's thought. Thought. So this word always confuses people. First, be careful with the TH. Thought. All right, thought. Okay, and the past participle, actually, it's the same. Thought. Think, thought, thought. All right, good, good, good. Now, let's move on. The next word is bleed. All right, that means blood coming from your body. If you, ow, when there's blood, you bleed. Okay, the past tense of bleed is, what is it? Bled. Okay, okay, okay. And next, remember, if you're not watching this live, that doesn't mean that you can be sitting and not participating. I want you speaking all your answers, okay? This is for you to learn. The best way to learn is to teach, like me. So you should be ready to teach this, all right? Bled, bleed, bled, and bled. All right, bleed, bled, bled. Now our next one, break. 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 What's the past simple of break? Do you know it? Shout it out or write it in the chat. Okay. This one is your regular 2. Not many know it. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broke. Okay, did you get it? Sometimes we use this word to mean that you don't have any money, right? It's like, hey, do you want to go travel to, I don't know, Europe? I can't, man. I'm broke. That's expensive. I have no money. I'm broke. All right, but he broke his computer. Okay, something like that. Now, what's the past perfect? The past perfect, eh? Break, broke, and broken. So just added little n there, broken. Always be careful of your pronunciation, okay? And here we go. Choose. Choose, this is kind of similar, okay? Choose and the past simple. What's the past simple? Meow, meow, meow. Chose. Okay, be careful of the spelling there. So choose, 2 O's, chose, 1 O. Make sure you remember that, okay? And this one is kind of like broken, where the word is chosen, okay? Chosen. So choose, chose, and chosen. Okay, there you have it. Let us move on. If you want more practice with this, make sure you download the link that's below. It's a whole thing on the future tense, so the future perfect. Let's look at the perfect structure. Okay, starting with the present perfect. So you should already know this if you've been following my classes or in school, whatever. So we have the present perfect, which is the structure, right? Subject plus have or has plus past participle. Okay, then we have the past perfect, had plus the past participle. Okay, you can see how this says present and we have the have and has in present. And then the past, so we have the had in the past. Okay, that is basically, those things don't mean that it happened in the present or the past, but it's how we use the will, or how we use the had, how we structure it. So in that case, if we're going to look at the future perfect, right? What's the future of have? Shout it out. It is bum, 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 will have. Wait, I skipped it. All right, will have plus past participle. Okay? So I will have eaten, will have been, will have gone. All right, let's look more at the positive. All right, positive version, which is what we just looked at, subject plus will have plus past participle. But let's check out some examples, okay? First of all, by the end of next year, I will have completed my degree. So we're not going to talk too much about when to use the future perfect, but like we'll talk more about it in the next class. However, you can see that there are two events happening here. Okay, first you have completing the degree, and then you have next year ending, right? So in this case, it's 2025, right? Next year is 2026. The end of next year is December 2026. Okay, so by December 2026, I will have completed my degree. So first, what happens? I complete my degree. What happens after that? The December 2026. Okay, there's two actions there. And that is how we use the future perfect. Okay, another one. They will have built the new bridge by December. When we're talking about due dates, stuff like that, we use the future perfect when there's two actions, right? So first, what happens? They build the new bridge. They finish building that bridge. And then December. Okay, so that's all planned in the future. Another example is by 8 p.m., they will have finished their homework. Okay, so we have that time, 8 p.m. comes around, but before that, they are finishing their homework. Okay, so you're going to have two things happening. The first thing will be the future perfect, and the second thing will be, if it's a full-on phrase, it will have present simple, but usually it's just a time word like by the end of next year, or by December, by 8 p.m. That's one of the time things that we will cover in the future. Next, though, let's do negative version. Negative structure is subject plus will not. Let me know if you can hear me okay with my microphone, please. Plus will not have plus past participle. So notice you put the not right after the will. Before, in the other ones, it was right after the have, right? I have not eaten. I had not eaten. This is I will not have eaten. That's important, okay? So basically, after the first verb or helping verb, that's when you put your not, okay? So some examples would be, he will not have completed his homework by the time class starts. Once again, we're using deadlines, due dates, the time that you need to finish something, right? So class will start, but his homework won't be done yet. So sad, so sad, but it is what it is. All right, next one. She will not have arrived at the airport before the flight leaves. One little pronunciation note here. I don't know if you noticed it, but when I read this, I said the airport. Okay. When you have the before a word that starts with a vowel sound, so vowels A-E-I-O-U, right? Our vowel sound in airport is A, right? So you add, instead of saying the, you say the, and you also add a little extra Y sound. Now, you don't have to do this, but this is how native speakers speak. And if you have problems with your listening, this is probably one of the reasons why, okay? The airport, with a little Y in there. This is called connected speech. And if you've never heard of connected speech, definitely check it out. It will blow your mind, okay? And yeah, so much more. Okay, so she will not have arrived at the airport before the plane leaves. I want you to think, what are the two actions that are happening in this sentence? Okay, what are the two actions? Well, first, the plane is going to leave, okay? Then her not arriving, two things, okay? So we know that the first action that will happen in the future is what we put in the future perfect, right? She will not have arrived. And then our second action, you notice this, we have actually a subject and verb. The flight leaves after our time word before. So this, notice leaves, that's present simple. So if you're going to have two actions like that, you have to use first present perfect, and then your second action that will happen, present simple. It's the same idea in the past perfect, except you have first the action that happened the longest ago. That's not good English, but you use the past perfect. And then the next action, you use the past simple. Okay, let's continue. Here we have our next sentence. I will not have finished the project by that deadline. I should say, do you know, give a little shout out to your computer screen if you know the contraction used with will and not. Normally when we put them together, what is it? Won't, okay? I won't have finished the project by that deadline, okay? So two things happening, the deadline and the project. All right, let's continue. And next we're going to look at questions, which is always a little bit more complicated, but not so bad, okay? It's will plus subject, so you always just switch the first two words, that's it. Will plus subject plus have plus past participle, okay? So let's look at this example here. Will they have resolved the issue? Pay attention to the pronunciation there. The issue, will they have resolved the issue before the meeting ends? Issue just means problem. It's a good word to know. We use it a lot. Okay. Will they have solved the problem? So two actions there. If you notice, before is a very common time word here, okay? And let's continue. Next sentence. Where is it happening? It seems frozen here. Okay. Why is the screen frozen? It will come to you, I'm sure. Anyways, for now, okay, you have to listen. Will the movie have started by the time they arrive? Will the movie have started by the time they arrive? That's our question here. And will the weather have improved by the weekend? Will the weather have improved by the weekend? All right, and next, yes, actually, we're going to look at when to properly use it in the next class. We'll get into more detail. So that is going to be the end of this lesson. Thank you so much for joining, those of you who joined, okay, for watching up to this. I highly recommend, once again, checking out everything you can on the Future Perfect. by clicking and downloading the free worksheet below so you can get really prepared for not only my next lesson, but also for your life, for the future, okay? So have a wonderful day and or evening, wherever you are, okay? And that's the end of this class. Thank you for learning English Weekly with Meghan Mendoza. Goodbye.